Democratic Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro has called Bucks County the swingiest. What a word. Swingiest, the swingy, a swingy swing county and a swingy state. It's Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Paul Kane of the Washington Post recently knocked on voters' doors there and wrote about his experience for the Washington Post. Paul joins us now. Paul, my former colleague at the Post, always great to see you. You were having a bit of an adventure in my home county, Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Yeah. What did you learn, Paul?
Well, look, when you grew up there, I think the neighborhood we were walking in is about 8 miles, maybe 10 miles away from Pennsbury High School, where you went. I was a Upper Dublin kid in Montgomery County, a little further west. But we grew up with this image of Bucks County as such a place of moderation. It is the swingiest county in the swingiest state. That's what Josh Shapiro called it. And that's because Barack Obama in 2012 won the county by like 1%, 4,000 votes. Hillary Clinton won it by less than that, 2,700 votes. And that was not a big enough margin for her, and she ended up losing the state. But it also has sent such moderates to Congress, both Fitzpatrick brothers, Republicans, Mike and Brian, Patrick Murphy, a moderate Democrat. But what I found is that there's just a sense of real anger and division there. There isn't this sort of sense of community. Brian Fitzpatrick, the current representative who's wins regularly, despite being such a moderate Republican, not a Trump guy, works across the aisle. He campaigns on a theme of one community. His lawn signs say one community. His website says one community. But boy, it feels more and more like two communities there between the people that support Trump and the people that just despise Trump. These Democratic voters that we talked to were not there sort of begging for policy positions from Kamala Harris. They just wanted her to beat Trump.
And Paul, when you look at the map of Pennsylvania, help us understand why Bucks County matters so much. It's not just that it's a swingy county. It's vote rich. There are hundreds of thousands of people living there.
Sure. There are some smaller counties that are also pretty closely divided as well. But Bucks County has about 480,000 registered voters. Republicans edged ahead this summer and fall and ended up with about 204,000 voters. And the Democrats are coming in around 200,000. And the next 75 to 80,000 are all basically independents or some other party affiliation. That makes it a really unique spot in the Philadelphia suburbs and the Philadelphia collar counties, as we call them now, because the rest of those counties, Delaware County, everyone calls it Delco, Montgomery County, Chester County, they've all drifted pretty far to the Democratic side. But Bucks County remains as this big voter haul that is really split pretty evenly. And so that's why there's such a focus on it. It's not just we really want to win here, win by a couple of points, but that couple of points translates into 10,000 votes, 20,000 votes, which when you look at these elections, Hillary Clinton lost by about 40,000 in Pennsylvania. Joe Biden won by 80,000. Bucks County can be a real critical battleground.
And Paul, I went back to Washington Crossing, Pennsylvania recently to cover Vice President Harris. She had an event there. What's your sense about the Harris campaign's ability to make inroads with traditional Republicans in places like Bucks County? Is that clicking based on your reporting when you're talking to voters?
It is. She's doing good with independents. But again, the Bucks County that I remember growing up next door to has shifted a little bit. It used to be such a sort of lower Bucks, upper Bucks type of divide where the closer they were to the city, you could guarantee that those were old-time working-class Democratic voters. And the further out you got, it was anti-tax country club Republicans. But now with sort of the educational divides within the entire body politic, but within Bucks County, some of those areas that are further out are really well educated and they get repulsed by Trump. Those are the type of voters that she needs to try and go after. But I'll say this, I was there 8 years ago on a trip following Senator Pat Toomey around and in Bucks County, and there was very little presence of Trump. People there were sort of the shy Trump voters. They didn't really want to boast about it. Now you go drive around anywhere in there, Doylestown, Newtown, and you will see Trump signs everywhere. So it's just a different vibe there now. It's a different environment. It's still going to be very close. She needs to win the county and preferably closer to Joe Biden's margin of about 4.3, 4.5%. But it's going to be close.
Regardless of those changing vibes, Paul, I think we can both agree that the vibe that hasn't changed in Bucks County or Pennsylvania, or at least eastern Pennsylvania, is the support for the Philadelphia Eagles this time of year.
Those were the one signs that every house had. Some house had Trump signs, some had Harris, but everybody had an Eagles banner of some sort somewhere on the front lawn or inside the house.
Paul Kane, Fly Eagles Fly. Thank you.
Absolutely.